heavy cruiser Des Moines. The Des Moines got 3 turrets with 3 guns in each, firing 203mm guns. It is lightly armored with a bow section of 27mm, a middle area of 30mm on top, or well, rather deck area at 30mm. It got an armor belt of 27mm. It got a citadel area that's quite huge for normal cruisers at 152mm, which is not really that well armored. And it got a bow, not a bow, but an ass plating of 27mm again. The superstructure is pretty lightly armored, just like any other ships, and its guns got a HE damage potential of 1 to 6, meaning that it can penetrate 1/6 of what the actual caliber is. For the Des Moines, the caliber is 203mm, meaning that you can penetrate up to 33.8888mm of armor, which generally just means 32, as that's the closest below it of armor cap, and it goes up to the closest above it is 38, which can be seen on the Montana. So it's basically able to deal damage to quite a lot of ships. As for the battleships, it's able to deal damage to. We got Conqueror, which got a 32mm deck armor and 4 deck, as well as end deck armor. Then a weak superstructure. Other than that, the Conqueror, we also got the Republic with the exact same thing, 32mm of armor at the deck, at the bow deck, and at the end deck, and a weak superstructure yet again. Now, this is where the good stuff ends, as we go to the Corsica first, which got a 50mm deck. Which means that the mine, even if it got IFHE, which will increase the deck the HE penetration to a whopping 48mm, it's still not enough to overcome the 50mm of the Corsica first. However, you can still deal damage with HE, just normal HE, by shooting the superstructure area here, which is only 19mm. The only ship that IFHE would work on with the Des Moines against is the Montana, which got a deck area of 38mm, as you can see right here. But it got a 4 deck of 32, so you can always do damage here. Then it got a really weak superstructure, and it's a gigantic superstructure at that, so it might not be worth it to equip IFHE, but if you want that extra bit of damage, you could equip it, but I would just sincerely not recommend IFHE. On the Yamato is also heavily armored, meaning that you can only deal damage to the superstructure with the HE. Now, the Des Moines also got American AP, meaning that you can penetrate and deal damage to ships that is small angle than, for example, if you were in a Hindenburg and shooting AP, you'll not be able to do the same amount of damage. So you'll potentially get way more damage depending on how much armored the enemy are. For example, if the enemy Montana, let's just put that as an example. If he was broadside and you were shooting your AP, and he was completely broadside, and just shot here with your AP, you'd deal about 10 to 12k salvo. Now, if we started angling a bit, let's say about here, you could still shoot AP and you'll still get a couple of pens, but if you were in a Hindenburg and shooting the same angle, you'll probably just bounce all of it, because you don't have the super heavy American armor piercing rounds. As for tactics you can use with the Des Moines, as we saw on the armor on the Des Moines, it is not really heavily armored. Okay, its citadel is quite big and exposed and not armored well, so kiting is not really that good of an idea on the Des Moines. Instead, you should hide behind an island, which I'll go back to further to show you which effects hiding behind an island can give you. But as for the AA, the Des Moines actually got quite hefty AA. It got one of the best of the cruisers of its tier, only outperformed in raw DPM by the Worcester, which is, let's just put it bluntly, over the top and overpowered. But base AA, the Minotaur is there with it, but as soon as you activate the Def AA, the Minotaur goes out the water. The only downside with the Des Moines is that the AA is not able to stealth fire planes. Meaning, like a Rooster, you can't just disable the AA and then wait for the planes to get within 2 or 3 kilometers of your AA range before opening up, since the Des Moines max AA range is 7.2 kilometers if you got AFT as well as the AA module. Then you'll still be spotted by the planes 600 meters before that. But that's not really that big of an issue, because the CVs will still not drop you. As soon as they see that they're just gonna be, okay, there's the mine there, I would rather not drop him, I'm gonna lose way too much. And even if he's gonna drop you, you got quite a hefty punch to defend yourself with. As for the concealment, you got a base concealment, no, not base concealment, but a concealment of 10.6 kilometers, provided you got the concealment module as well as the concealment captain skill, which means that you can use the radar to great advantage, but not as great as the Rooster before the nerf coming next patch, aka tomorrow, if it's not already out. Meaning you can basically just park your Des Moines. If you get spotted by something and you're not shooting, then there's either the chance of the DD going away from you, sailing towards you, and then having to turn because they see you, which is why I would recommend, after you get spotted and you have not shot anything, to wait 2 seconds and just wait those 2 seconds, then activate the radar. Because if he's towards you, like he just came in your spotting range, he's still gonna sail those few 700 meters towards you, and thereby being in your range now, thereby having more potential to shoot at him. Speaking of the radar, it's a 9.9 kilometers radar range, and I got the radar module, which means it's a 48-second duration. And I would always recommend using premium consumables. So from the damage control, the Def AA, which is also one of the things I would always recommend taking, rather than taking the Hydra. Just because I feel CVs are a bigger threat than DDs to me. And, of course, always take the radar. Unless you want to do a meme boat thing like Jura does, then you might want to take the spotting aircraft, but you're gonna get a lot of hate from that in chat. And, of course, premium repair party. As for the modules itself, these number 1 is mandatory. Oh, well, not mandatory, really. Well, you can select them. I personally prefer it because I really don't like my A being destroyed. But if you got the pickle of, okay, I don't meet CVs that often, then you can take the other one, which is the main armament mod. That way you don't get your guns destroyed as often as I potentially do, but I don't feel like it's a problem that my guns get destroyed. Then I've taken the radar module. In case you don't have these, you can buy them for gold, by the way. I would take the damage control system modification instead, just for that extra bit of survivability, provided that the enemy shoot a lot of HE at me and I'm not covered enough. Then for the third module, I would always take the AA guns modification, even if I don't have AT, because 6 kilometers AA is still pretty much quite a good range. It means that the CV is gonna lose maybe one more plane if he's going for a drop on me before actually getting there. Like, yeah, basically before it gets there. Then the propulsion modification. This one I would say is a straight up must have, because in the Des Moines you're gonna do a lot of standing still, and then at some point you're gonna start moving again, and when you do that, getting faster to the position where you need to stop at is always better. Unlike maybe turning a bit faster, the Des Moines doesn't really have the problem of having a long rudder shift. You only got an 8.6 second. And fires, well, you're a cruiser. This one is not really gonna work that much for you, unless you wanna try a complete tank build, which I would not recommend in the Des Moines because chances of you tanking is pretty low. It will require you first to not be in cover. and secondly, require you to dodge 24/7. So if you want to play a tanking cruiser, play the Hindenburg instead. As for upgrades, definitely consumer system modification. That way you got the advantage of your radar in case you want to chase a DD. He suddenly spots you. You know, okay, I just got spotted. I'll wait 2 seconds and see if my radar is in range of him now, or if it's still not. As for the last spot, we got the range mod. Now this is my personal preference, the range modification. I know that a lot of other people use the reload modification, but I tried the reload modification myself and I just can't get myself to play it. It just doesn't fit my personal playstyle, which is to sit a bit back and be a HG spammer while still providing cover for my cap. But I've noticed that the meta currently is just battleships sits way far away, the cruisers kite, so I'm never gonna catch up to them. And if I catch up to them, I have to catch up, so I'm 12 kilometers away from them before opening up. Oh, well, no. 12 kilometers might be a little bit of an overstatement, but you get the general picture. As for the captain, there's actually 3 captain builds that I would recommend for the Des Moines. The first one is the one that I got, which consists of priority target, expert marksman, adrenaline rush, demolition expert, superintendent, concealment expert, and AFT. The other 2 would consider you not taking AFT, but instead taking the fire prevention, just to prevent that 3rd fire, or 4th fire in this case, from popping in the middle of your ship. Also making sure you don't take that much fire damage, in case you're overextended or you're not covered enough behind the island. And the last one I would consider is radio location, or RPF. I find a great use for this, especially when I play in clan battles. I've used the RPF multiple times. It's great for getting info for your team and for yourself. Okay, what is the closest target? Okay, I can see a guy over there that's 10 kilometers away from me. But my RPF is not pointing towards him, so there's something closer to me, so I can pop my radar and definitely know I'll spot something. And that's basically it for the captain builds, the ship in general. Oh, there's actually one more thing, and that is with the armor to do. You got a 27mm bow plating, which means that if you run into a turret or else or anything, any BB with less than 380mm of guns, or actually 380mm and below, you like to be able to straight up bounce their shells. Meaning that if you see an LSS being in front of you, instead of trying to run away and or trying to do other fancy maneuvers, just go bow into him. That way you'll avoid getting death struck, and you'll potentially avoid all the damage, provided he doesn't shoot at your guns or superstructure, or he doesn't shoot HE, which is a common sight nowadays with battleships and HE. Really can't recommend it. I think AP is the superior choice. And yeah, that's basically it. I'm gonna go through a couple of scenarios in Des Moines, aka how to properly position yourself behind islands and how to utilize the arcs of the American. And I'm gonna show you what happens if you don't use your cover correctly. So now the first example I'm gonna be going over is how Des Moines can successfully use the cover it's provided from an island. Here you see Des Moines on hotspot. No, that's not hotspot, but the Fortune. I think it's the Sea Cap, hiding behind the island quite nicely. And it's shooting towards the Montana, and the Montana is shooting towards the Des Moines. Both of them are spotted in this case. And one of the things you got to pay attention to in the Des Moines when hiding behind an island and shooting is A, you have to have a constant spotting source. So it can either be the CV or it can be a destroyer spotting the enemy. And B, you gotta make sure that you are completely covered. Basically, you can shoot at the guy in front of you, he can shoot at you, but most of the shells that he's gonna shoot at you will land the island. And if he hits you, it's only gonna be an overpin or 2 overpins. But you gotta make sure that, for example, if you shoot at a guy on the other side of the C cap, that there's no enemy popping up at the B cap that's able to punish you. And that's basically the golden rules. Then, depending on the island you want to use, you might want to go into an island that's pretty close to the cap, meaning that you have to use a smoke screen from a friendly destroyer on the map to even get close and to support your team. Then just ask for the smoke screen in chat in case you're not diffed up with a guy with a smoke screen. Most of the times you'll probably get a smoke screen because the destroyers is gonna think, oh, that guy wants to come close to this cap. I'll get a radar, I'll get a free cap if I give him a smoke screen. So it's a win-win situation for both you and the team, but the important thing is you don't yell at the teammate. Now, the only problem with that approach is if the enemy got a Moskva and he's already in position and he can get off a radar on you, you're probably gonna experience a lot of damage during that slight margin of time where you're, well, pretty much out in the open, broadside to everything. You gotta avoid the shells even though you're in the smoke. So that's a slight problem, but other than that, the Des Moines works great when it uses cover correctly because of its really good American shell arcs. Now I'll be showing what happens to a Des Moines if it does not abuse the fact that it got cover. As you can see, we got a Des Moines that's sailing towards us. He's right in the open, nothing can shoot at him. Oh well, actually, that's not quite right. Everything can actually shoot at him. So, the moment he gets spotted, the enemy battleships is gonna think, oh, that's a Des Moines. He's in the open. Easy damage because of the huge citadel of Des Moines and the weakly armored Des Moines body. So, they're gonna prioritize you. You're a radar in the open, far from any cover. Now, our Des Moines has just been told to basically straight up broadside and straight line to give this a better example of what happens to Des Moines. And you can see he's already taking damage. Oh well, you can't really see that because I've disabled the hue, but you can see the enemy already shooting at him. And from that first volley he took like 20k damage, which might not sound like a lot if you're a battleship player, but in a Des Moines it's really a lot because one of those shells was a citadel. And he's basically gonna continue taking damage until the eventual thing is gonna happen and he's gonna straight up die, as you saw right there. And this is why you should use cover as much as possible, or else this is gonna happen to you every single time you play. Now, I'm gonna be jumping over to general gameplay and show you how to play the Des Moines. So, finally we are here at the general gameplay of the Des Moines. And as you can see, I'm divisioned up with one of my clanmates, Nagahide, and we are playing on mountain range. And in the game you can see there's 5 destroyers per team, there's 2 raiders per team and 3 battleships. So I gotta make sure, oh well, I gotta watch out for the 3 battleships, but it's not as hard as a 5 battleship game. And I'll be more effective because there's more destroyers for the Des Moines to help support with. And straight up at the start of the game, you can see I spawn in the middle and I got 2 destroyers spawning nearby. So I asked Sasho if it's possible that he can place a smoke screen for me so I can get easier over to B. And thereby helping my team cap the B cap and potentially raiding the enemy DD away. And he says sure, and then he and he asked where I wanted, and I tell him that I want it between the 2 islands that you can see right in front of me, just so I can avoid any potential danger if there is a DD that decides I'm gonna YOLO the 4th line and spot me. So yeah, as you can see, my div mate is going behind me. He's actually gonna be positioning himself right behind me by the island that you see right now, that the Sasho is passing. And that basically means that he's able to support direct line of fire into the B cap for the destroyers. And he's not gonna have to worry that much about the A cap, but yeah, I don't really like the position he's in, but he decides to go there because he has had the habit of being spammed down the last couple of games we played. But as you can see, my teammate A has brilliantly decided to have a AFK North Carolina, as far as I can see, and the Cleveland has decided to basically say, "Going, you're on your own. I'm gonna go and have some more fun. I'm gonna sail all the way over to the sea cap. You're on your own." But yeah. But as you can see, the Sasha is smoking up for me. The smoke is a bit short, but I can manage with that. It's not really a major problem. And that's when our other DD, the Cossack, which is a diff mate of the Sasha, has started capping. And if you pay attention to the cap area, you can actually see that there's an enemy destroyer in the cap, and I used radar to help my team get the cap, and sort of pay back to the Sasha for lending me his smoke screen, and thereby giving both him and his stiff mate the free cap, and making sure that we get a bit more XP for the team. And as I mentioned, I do want the radar mod just for the extra 8 seconds of radar, and those 8 seconds really helped me personally, but that's basically it. And as you can see, my diff mate was able to get a shot on the Harukuma, but he's not really that lucky with this disbursement. I, however, cannot shoot the Harukuma anymore, so I decide to shell down the North Carolina. Now, there is a Sao, but he is so far away that I don't really want to shoot at him. First of all, because the shell travel time, as you can see, is 12 seconds. He's easily going to be out of the way, and thereby dodge all the shells fire, and I'll just have wasted volley that I could fire from liner. So I found a bit of damage on North Carolina. I set 1 fire, and this is a note for you battleships players out there. If there's 1 fire on your ship, you don't use damage gun. If there's 2 fires, you use damage gun. However, there might be some times where you don't want to use damage gun on 2 fires, like if you see torpedoes coming towards you, or use spams so much by, for example, a Conqueror and a double Des Moines. Then I would wait with actually using damage gun until I'm in cover. And also, if like you got a fire and there's 5 seconds left of it, and then you get another fire, then just let the fireworks run out. It's just a double fire for 5 to 10 seconds. But yeah, as you can see, the fire that I originally set has run out, so I'm gonna try to see if I can get another one. And I constantly keep an eye on the A-cap, because then we got a Conqueror there. And I don't want that Conqueror to push too far up for me. So I'm basically making sure that there's cover behind between me and the Conqueror. But as I mentioned in one of the examples, then you gotta use the cover in the Des Moines to advantage. And you can basically see me using the little island ledge to make sure that the enemy North Carolina is not able to punish my Citadel. He can still overpen me if he shoots at me and maybe potentially get a pen or something, but he's not gonna get a Citadel. At least not constantly, and it's gonna be really hard for him, and he's gonna have to rely on RNG a lot. Now, I make a mistake right now. I still shoot at the North Carolina, who's 16 kilometers away from me. I should have fired up at this tower right now. Simply because he's close to target, he's not moving at all, so easy damage. The damage you do on a cruiser counts for way more than the damage you do on a battleship. And as you can see, I started moving away from the position. And that is basically due to the Sal being there, the North Carolina being there, and then the Des Moines showing up there. So I would have the potential of being spammed down by 3 ships, 2 HE spammers and 1 battleship, and that's not really a position I want to be in now. So I gallantly go away and I start spamming the Des Moines while hiding away from the position. As you can see, I got 2 people targeting me, one of them of course being the Des Moines, the other one being the Sao, and a third one just appeared. And that one I'm guessing is North Carolina. I didn't really see any shots. But yeah, the Des Moines is now so far away that I can't really shoot at him anymore, so I'm just dropping into the stove. Now the Conqueror tried to shoot at me, but I noticed him beforehand, so I made sure that if it shot at me, I would do a evasive maneuver, which the Des Moines can do, but it's not as reliable. Oh well, the Citadel is trollish, so you you gotta make sure to do it properly. And even if you do it properly, you still might get a literally citadel because armor. So basically decide, okay, I'm gonna arm this Conqueror a bit. And you'll see me right now, I'm completely over border. And I just slow completely down. That's because nothing is spotting me. And I'm having an island between me and the Conqueror. The Conqueror is able to shoot over it, but I'm willing to take the risk of, okay, fire at me if I get spotted. But right now I'm not spotted. So I basically just abused that fact, and I get one fire on him, he doesn't repair. I just continue shooting AT at him. And he takes 2 torpedoes now, and that's a flooding, so he definitely is gonna use damage gun as soon as it's ready. And he just used it. Double fire and 2 floodings, and now you'll see what the Conqueror is known as, that mega heal. But then again, I'm in a Des Moines. I do quite a bit of damage every single shell, so the heal doesn't really count for that much. Like, he healed up to like 43k if I didn't do any damage, and he's already down to 4k. And I'm just gonna continue doing damage. I got double fire now running. I do 3 to 4k every single volley on him. Oh, and that's a triple fire. Now, right now I'm greedy. I just want to kill basically. I am spotted, however there's nothing that can shoot at me of significant value. And now that he's dead, I'm just like, the closest target to me right now is the Sao, but he's 17.5 kilometers away, so not really gonna hit the shots if I shoot. So I'm just gonna drop into stealth, and you see the island that the gearing is at? I'm gonna park at that island, and I'm gonna use the Des Moines shell axe again at that location. And basically farm myself a bit more damage. Now you can see my diff mate in the recap. He is actually gonna come up to me. He just called it on Discord that, hey, I'm gonna be coming. So could you have your radar ready for when I'm ready? And I'm just like, yeah. So right now I'm just gonna wait for him. You see the skewing spotter. Now at the moment we don't know where the other destroyer is, but he might be there, he might not, which is why you see my friend taking a bit of a steep angle in, making it look like he goes straight forward into the middle island center, but he's actually going to be turning up to me and help. Now you're gonna see the Des Moines at action. You see that Cleveland right there? You might be able to shoot over the islands, but so am I. The only difference is I'm a tier 10 heavy cruiser, he's a tier 8 light cruiser, and you'll see that in my HP, AP zone. I take a bit of damage, but I feel like he took a bit more damage than I did. So I'm like, okay, I cannot shoot at you anymore, the island is too steep, I cannot shoot at the enemy either. Now I got the problem of the Quincas first. But I'm just gonna be like, oh, yes. But yeah, I popped my radar because, as you can see, my friend is finally managed to get around the island in the position where you can shoot. So we're gonna get an easy kill on the destroyer. And yeah, Sashio is not happy, and he doesn't really do the right move. He just goes straight backwards. He doesn't do any evasive maneuvers other than sailing straight line backwards, which leads us to believe that he just fired torpedoes at the Republic. So my friend has to turn away and thereby not being able to do any damage, but I managed to finish him off. And the game is nearly over right now. There's the Quincas left, there's the North Carolina left, but the North Carolina is not going to survive for long. You can see there's a Montana on the way to him, there's 2 destroyers shooting torps at him, and the South is not really in a position to guide forward. So I'm like, okay, the game is over anyways, we're gonna win no matter what. I want to be greedy now. So I move away from the island, and as soon as I do that, you'll see what happens to my HP. Boom, instantly 13k gone from 6 shells in. And luckily for me, the Quincas is not gonna get another salvo like that. and I'm like, okay, I might want to survive a bit. I could have used my heal now, but I was tunnel vision a little bit, if you could say that. And it's like, okay, I use it now, but game is over. Heal doesn't get the entire thing. So yeah, that is how I played Des Moines. As you can see, 162k damage, 11 fires, 3 kills. I get high caliber and confederate, and 2.4k base XP. However, do remember that Des Moines got a multiplied base XP, and you can see the targets that I dealt damage to, my potential, and how much damage I took.